Good day. This is Lateesha with Soul Spread Wisdom, and I want to talk more about Pluto. I want to talk about the Greek mythology of Pluto. And in understanding the Greek mythology behind the planets, it helps us to understand the energy that the planet brings into our lives by way of the birth chart, by way of transit, or by way of synastry. And so it's really important to understand what the energy is, and again, the story that gives us the basis for these energies. So as it relates to Pluto, Pluto is synonymous with the god Hades in Greek mythology. So one day, there was a goddess by the name of Persephone, very beautiful, young, virgin. She loved being outside. She loved having her freedom. Now, her mother was the goddess Demeter, and her father was the god, the Olympian god of all gods, by the name of Zeus. So Persephone loved flowers, and one day she was out by a brook, and she was smelling some flowers and enjoying them. And the god Hades, who had, again, synonymous with Pluto, who had been in love with her, who had gone to her mother, had gone to Persephone's mother, Demeter, and asked her for Persephone, and she said absolutely not, because Hades was the god of the dead. He lived in the underworld. He lived in the darkness. He lived among those that had no life. So, of course, she said no, because her beautiful, innocent daughter, she had more planned for her. And she absolutely did not want her associated with Hades. Well, Hades decided, again, Pluto decided that he would not take no for an answer. And one day, as she was out by the brook, sniffing the flowers and enjoying the beautiful sunshine, the ground opened up, and up comes Hades and his chariot with black horses. And before she could get a good scream out, he had kidnapped her, taken her to the underworld, and forcibly raped her, had sex with her against her will. She cried day and night to be returned to her mother, to be returned from this place of the dead, from this place of the darkness. And he would not return her, because he desired to keep her for himself. And her mother, Demeter, looked for her high and low. She went everywhere. She asked everyone, had they seen her? And no one had seen her, but the goddess Hecate, mentioned in one of the stories, says that she did hear a scream. Another story, the goddess Hecate told her to ask Helios, which is the sun god. And Helios, the sun sees all. So the sun, Helios, shared with her what had happened to her beautiful, innocent daughter. Demeter, who ruled over the seasons of the earth, spring, summer, fall, and winter, and the harvests that come about, she was so upset, she was so angry, until she decided not to bring any fertility to the ground, to the land. People were starving. She was so upset that she did not have her daughter. And Zeus, who was the father of Persephone, did not step in to return her from his brother Hades. And he would not listen to his wife Demeter regarding her. So Demeter decided that she would not fertilize the ground anymore. She would not bless the land anymore. So with that, people were starving. The ground was dry. And there were no more harvests. So Zeus had to do something. So he decided that he would call forth Hades, who was Pluto, and Persephone, so that they could make some sort of an agreement. Well, Hades, being Plutonian, being Pluto, got wind of what was about to happen. So he coerced Persephone, who is still crying day and night, wanting her freedom, to eat some pomegranate seeds. Because the pomegranate seeds would cause her to want to stay in the underworld. So she ate them because he was so persistent. So when it was time for them to go above and meet with Zeus and Demeter, he asked her, do you want to stay in the underworld with Hades or Pluto? And she said, yes, I want to stay, because she had eaten the pomegranate seeds. Her mother, Demeter, was outraged again and had declared that she would not fertilize the land. There would be no harvest, so forth. So Zeus decided that Persephone would stay 6 months in the underworld with Hades and 6 months above ground with her mother Demeter. And thus we have the 4 seasons. So it is during the winter months, it's during the fall and winter that Persephone stays in the underworld with Hades, and during the spring and summer she is above ground with her mother. And this is how Demeter operates. She's so happy and full of joy when her daughter is with her. She brings the spring and summer and harvest. And when her daughter is away in the underworld, she is sad, so things die away. So this is the mythology of Pluto. So when we look at the actions of Hades / Pluto, this energy, we see right away that it is an energy that is forcing its will on others. It is a selfish, domineering, controlling, disempowering energy on the lowest end. This is the low operation of Pluto. It is combative. It is associated with stripping power away, taking power, a higher octave of Mars, aggressive, competitive, controlling. So here is this, innocent Persephone taken against her will, her youth stolen from her, dragged into a place that she didn't want to be, all for the pleasure of someone else, with no regard to her and her feelings and what it is that she needed. And within us all, there is a Pluto in our chart. There is a place within all of us, whatever house it's in, if it's making any aspects or not, there is this part of us that is controlling, is domineering, is selfish. It can be destructive. It can be cutting. There is this part of us all. But if we step back and we look at it, and we look at what the fruit of this type of behavior is, this Plutonian behavior, we come to realize, in fact, that there is no winning in this. There really is no winning in this. If we look at this story and we look at Pluto and these actions, and we look at, Hades taking this girl and forcing this life upon her, and she's crying every day. Every day she wants to leave. She's there against her will. Did he really win? Did he really win? If you have someone with you, it's not out of manipulation. It's not because that you gave them the pomegranate seeds that they stay. If they do stay because you gave them the pomegranate seeds, are they staying because they love you? Are they staying because they want you? Are they staying because they find you beautiful? Or is it because of the Plutonian manipulation that you have tricked them or manipulated them, coerced them to stay? It's very similar to the Phantom of the Opera. If anyone has seen that, I love that play. I went to New York to the Majestic Theater and I saw it, and I sat there and cried the whole time listening to that beautiful music. And I was thinking the whole time as I was looking at the Phantom that he represented Pluto. He was a type of Pluto, because in his story, he is someone who was abused as a child. He was, horribly mistreated. And in turn, this became a part of his psyche and a part of his operation to hurt people and kill, manipulate, because he felt powerless as a child, and he was powerless as a child. So as he grew, he learned how to manipulate. He learned how to be deceitful. He lived under the opera house where there was a moat. And if anyone descended down into that area, they took a chance on being killed by him, because he knew how to go through all of the secret places. He knew the fears of men. He was a powerful musician and magician. And he coerced, same story as Persephone. He coerced the young Christine, who was an opera singer. He coerced her through manipulation. He pretended to be her angel of music, when in fact he saw her beauty and he wanted it for himself. So he taught her how to sing, because he was a powerful musician. He taught her as she was sleeping, and in the quiet, he hid, and she thought that he was a spirit. And he taught her to sing and to work with all of the notes and go up and down the scale beautifully. But it was a form of manipulation to get him to trust her, to get her to trust him. And when she trusted him, she followed him, into his cave, into his underground world. And when she got there, he didn't want to let her go. He did ultimately let her go, but not really. And on and on as we watch what plays out. He was lonely. and he wanted her light and her youthfulness and her beauty to have for himself, because he had seen so much bitterness and so much pain that he didn't know how to bring himself into the light. So he fought and he killed and he did so many horrible things just so that he could have her. But ultimately he conceded to let her go. But, it was not before, he realized she was able to talk to him, and she was able to make him realize that, there was a chance for him to have some light. And she asked him for mercy, and she was able to leave. But he was in so much pain, and we could see the pain. We could see the Pluto pain within him from the pain of his childhood that had turned him into this dark, manipulative, vengeful person. And so, as it stands, for those who have hard aspects to Pluto, during childhood, oftentimes, because that's where we are programmed in our mother's womb, past lives, and through childhood, the hard aspects to Pluto conjunct the sun, Pluto opposite Venus, Pluto square Venus, Pluto square Mars, Pluto square opposite Saturn, Pluto, with the moon, on and on. Pluto square the moon, Pluto opposition to the moon. Regardless, it's always about power and control. So in a young age, there was this programming that took place where you saw issues of power and control. If it's with the moon, power and control with the mother. If it's with Venus, power and control with love, relationships, or with some a feminine energy, female, maybe mother or grandmother, aunts, with power and control issues. With the sun, power and control with the father or masculine energy around. With Mars, same thing, power and control in actions and freedom to take action, freedom to make decisions. And of course, the house placement is going to give more detail, and the sign will give more detail. But it all boils down to power and control, and feeling disempowered at an early age. And so the cycle repeats itself. So the thing that you saw, that you learned subconsciously as far as how to behave with other people, has to do with power and control. And feeling that you are empowered, so you feel oftentimes that you have to dominate another in order to have the power. This shows up in Synastry too all the time. So in the Synastry chart, it is two charts overlaid between two people. Oftentimes we see this, in love relationships. I have some Synastry videos on my channel, like Bobby Brown, Bobby and Whitney Houston, and Beyonce and Jay-Z. And you can see in Synastry how the planets interact with each other. So if in a Synastry chart you see that one person's Pluto is in a challenging aspect with another person's sun, moon, Venus, Mars, personal planets, you can see dynamics of power and control in the relationship. In Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown's relationship, you could see that Pluto played a huge part in this relationship, because it was constant battles, Pluto, of power and control. And ultimately, no one wins when we are operating in the lowest vibration of Pluto. So the dynamic in the natal chart is that we are, in our childhood, we were the Persephone. Oftentimes we saw dynamics of power and control happening, be it with our mothers or those around us, and our power oftentimes was stripped, and so we learned to behave in this manner. We're talking about hard aspects of Pluto. We learn to behave in this manner, hard aspects of the personal planets of Pluto. And it's normal. It's normal to us to fight, to dominate, to be domineering, so that we can say, I won and I had control over the person. I had control over the situation. But in fact, there is no winning. There is no winning, because if what we are doing is disempowering to another person through our manipulation, so that we can get what it is that we want, so that we can say, I won and I stand in the power, which is what happened with Persephone and Hades, and which is what happened with the Phantom of the Opera. You know, it takes so much energy to maintain that. You know, if you have manipulated your way into a situation, if you manipulated your way into a job, if you manipulated your way into this relationship, you know, you worked hard so that you could get her, get him. You undercut everybody. You pretended to be this. You worked hard so that you could say all of the right things. But the thing of it is that anything that you get out of manipulation like that, it is tainted. It is poisoned in a sense, because anything that you get like that through manipulation, through disempowerment of another person, you have to maintain that level of operation to hold it true to yourself. And the thing of it is that if something is not built on the higher vibrating energies of love and faith and hope and trust and balance and peace, they won't remain. Because the energy that gave birth to the relationship, the energy that gave birth to the job, the energy that gave birth to whatever it is filled with manipulation and lies and corruption and deceit or revenge, or, you know, all of these lower level Plutonian type energies. And when it is that is the heart of it, when it is that is the glue, when it is that is what gave birth to it, it cannot stand. It cannot last, because the whole relationship is filled with distrust. Because that is how it was birthed. That is how it came to fruition, under the guise of love, because love does not operate like that. But you know, when you are raised in a household where this is normal, the Plutonian type power struggles are normalized, you don't realize that love does not operate like that. Real love, if I have to go to the scriptures, because it says it perfectly in I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 14, that love is patient and love is kind. And so there are just those two alone. I mean, we could go through all of them, that it is long suffering and that it bears, all things. And love if it had been true love between Hades and Persephone, if he had had love in his heart, he would have come and he would have asked her what it was that she wanted, and he would have, through loving kindness, drawn her to himself by her own free will. By her own free will, she would have been able to be drawn to him if he had had true love in him and in his heart. Instead of her being forcibly taken and forced to stay and manipulated to stay and given seeds to change her so that she would not want to leave. But, again, real love is kind, and real love is empowering, and real love gives freedom to a person to choose to come or go, to choose to stay. Real love empowers a person to fly to the highest heights. Real love makes a person feel growth and strength and peace. Real love, when you are around real love, fear is not there. Fear is not a part of it. Fear of loss and fear of you leaving and fear of losing control is not a part of real love. And it is not a part of the high level, high vibrating energy of Pluto. The high level vibrating energy of Pluto empowers other people. It strengthens them to be their best, to be free, to go after whatever it is that they feel is best for them, with a trust, keyword trust, with a trust that they themselves will be okay. I will be okay if you choose to do something different than be with me. I will be okay. I trust that the universe has the best for me. So if in fact it is that you need to go and do something different, then I trust my life and I trust that your life will be okay too. And that I don't have to control everything. And I should not be trying to control you. This is the high level, high vibrating energy of Pluto. Allows a person to decide for themselves. Allows a person to think for themselves. But it is, low vibrating energy that is, manipulating children, manipulating relationships, manipulating anyone else to make them feel that they are not smart enough, they are not wise enough, they are not strong enough to live without you. To make them feel that they cannot make it without you. Handicapping another person because you are afraid to be alone. Handicapping another person because you feel inferior without them, but yet you manipulate them into feeling like they need you or they can't make it without you. So these are all of the low operating energies of the Pluto, as he can show up in the Synastry Charts, or as he can show up in our own personal lives when we have Pluto making a hard aspect to our personal planets. Now, I tell on myself all the time. I have Pluto opposite Venus in my natal chart. I have Pluto square Mars in my natal chart. I have Pluto square Saturn in my natal chart. So, I understand these energies, and it has taken me quite some time. It took me quite some time to understand those dynamics of the very things that I just shared with you. That, that Pluto energy on the dark side is just so afraid. Ultimately, is so afraid of not being in control and trusting. Distrust is a huge deal with Pluto energy on the dark side, but then Scorpio too, right? The modern ruler is Pluto of Scorpio. This distrust of people and distrust of a situation. And so the distrust is what causes this desire to be in power and control of other people and not trusting hardly anybody. And then ultimately, again, just moving through life by way of manipulation and disempowering other people and aggressively moving in just so that you could feel that you belong, or feel that you have some sort of importance, or feel that you have some sort of power. But you do have power, but you don't get the power. You don't understand how to move in your power until you trust, until you can fall back on trust. Trust that the universe has got you. Trust yourself. Trust that you know how to make the right decisions for yourself, and allow other people to figure out their own paths. Allow them to figure out their own paths and empower them to do so. Empower them to do so. To give people the right to be free. This is the true power. This is Pluto at its highest. This is the evolution of the Scorpionic energy that is operating on the eagle level. That is operating as the eagle. When it is not constantly fighting for power and control, but it maintains its course. It flies above the minutia of all of that. It knows its power, and it's not coming down to the ground to try to sneak and crawl and lie and manipulate and hurt other people with its words to feel that it is in power. Hurt other people with actions to feel that it's in power. Because that's a false win. It's a false win. I'm telling you what I know. It's a false win. And that is what these squares, with Pluto, Mars, and Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto with Saturn, that is what the universe, and Jupiter, Pluto with Jupiter, that is what the universe is bringing to our attention at this time. Through all of this, Mars retrograde, squaring Pluto, these are the things that are being undone on a grand scale, the manipulation, the lies, this false control, these moments of where the collective has been the Persephone, and Hades has taken people against their own will, lied and manipulated to get them to do something. Well, all of it is being unraveled. All of it is being unraveled. All of the lies are being unraveled. So for us on a personal level, through these hard aspects, It's our opportunity to go within, for those of us to look at our charts and see where these dynamics are continuing to play out, and to be honest with ourselves on where we are not really winning because we have been operating on this low level of, a plutonic energy. And where we need, own it, own the situation, own our lives, own it, look at it and say, okay, this is what I've been doing. And bring it up, own it, release it, and make a commitment to yourself for your own life that you will operate in trust and peace and balance and love and light and freedom for yourself and for other people, and thereby bringing in this real love, this real light, this real change, and real love for real, where it's not based on manipulation. That a person chose to love you and you didn't crawl on the floor and hold them by the leg to make them stay, which you won't be able to do that anyway. Because a person has their own free will. And again, anything that you get by manipulation, you have to keep manipulating to keep it. And it's not worth having if it's not real. Well, I thank you for listening. And my name again is Lateesha. If you would like a reading with me, I offer astrology readings and tarot readings. You can visit me at soulsbreadwisdom.com, or you can email me at info@soulsbreadwisdom.com. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.